Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we are once again going to be talking about that potential upcoming major winter storm for next week that could be a blockbuster snowstorm for the East Coast. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting store in the description and the pinned comment down below, and also our Patreon page where we're making a post about a snowstorm that's going to occur a little bit before the storm we're talking about today. Now, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, what is the most snowfall you think anyone will see from this storm? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, let's get right into things. Now, first things first, we're taking a look at about, well, this is maybe this evening, a little bit in the early evening, and we can see that, first off, that upper Midwest and Great Lakes snowstorm underway that we've been talking about for a few days now. Also, the kind of earlier snowstorm that we're going to be making a Patreon post about is starting out for the Southern Rockies there. As we move it towards about Sunday early evening, we see that upper Midwest storm has moved out. We see the second snowstorm moving into Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, and then eventually that moves up into the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and portions of the Southeast as well. This one is looking a lot more major than it looked even just yesterday. So we might get two kind of moderate to major snowstorms, the first one being moderate, the second one definitely being major for the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to finally talk about that actual major, massive, and just overall impressive snowstorm for the East Coast, generally the Southeast up through the Mid-Atlantic and into the Northeast. This could be one of the biggest East Coast snowstorms we've had in years. We'll get right into that in just a moment. Now, as we get into things, you can see the storm is starting out there on Wednesday morning at about 8 a.m. I wanted to invite you to join our very exciting Facebook group down below. That's going to be in the description and the pinned comment down below, of course. We have actually gained a lot of members and activity lately. We've been doing threads, so if you want to keep up with the latest information and be a part of the exciting discussions, I want to hang out with you guys. I want to talk about weather with you guys, and there's tons and tons of very active members. You can make friendships and just overall talk about weather. If you are a weather freak like us, that's what the Facebook group is called, Weather Freaks. I really would love it if you would join and invite your friends that love weather too. You can always invite people too. All right. We're taking a look at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, and you can see some snowfall starting out for the Ohio Valley because we're actually taking a look at potential for some snowfall there actually with this storm now. North Carolina and Virginia starting out too. Let's just move it towards about 8 p.m. that day, Wednesday, and you can see things get a lot more major. This is already looking like a very massive amount of snowfall coming down for portions of the Smoky Mountains. Notice down there for the borders there of Tennessee and North Carolina. That is a beautiful place. I love Gatlinburg. If you're from Gatlinburg, shout out to you. Let me know in the comments down below if you've been there or if you live there. That'd be awesome. Western Virginia and West Virginia all seeing very heavy snowfall all the way up through Maryland and southern Pennsylvania, also southeastern Ohio and portions of New Jersey seeing heavy snowfall at this point. What we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on towards about 2 a.m. on Thursday where things are going to get even heavier and further widespread. All right, and this is all according to our European model, by the way, and we're very far out from this storm, so I notice sometimes my language comes off a little more confident than I mean for it to sound. This could definitely shift, and I always want to remind you guys of that. This could shift very far west, very far east, very far south, very far north, and the timing can shift too. Also the intensity. So there's so many factors going on that could change, and I really just want to place the emphasis on that. The one thing that stands true right now, and the one thing that we are certainly gaining confidence in, is there is going to be a major snowstorm for somebody. No matter where that location changes to, somebody's getting a ton of snowfall from this storm, and that's why it's important to just stay tuned to the future updates, because we are going to be pinning down where this one's going to hit. But I don't think the intensity is really in question. I think we're definitely going to see well over a foot very widespread from this storm, no matter what happens. All right, so we're seeing very heavy snowfall here by 2 a.m. for northern Virginia, areas like Winchester, also the panhandle of West Virginia there. I don't know if you guys call it that, but it kind of looks like a panhandle to me. Also that area of very far western Maryland, and then south central Pennsylvania, all seeing very heavy snowfall. The snow is starting to come down for New York City, northern New Jersey, Philadelphia as well. Maybe some sleet or freezing rain mixing in too. And then Long Island seeing a lot of snowfall as well. Let's just take it to about 8 a.m. and you can see things get even colder as that cold air moves in. So we're seeing a lot more widespread snowfall. But this is a very classic look. We see DC, Philadelphia, New York to Boston. That's what we call a DC to Boston snowstorm. And that is one of the most classic Northeast or East Coast snowstorms there is. We see very heavy snowfall throughout Pennsylvania, throughout Maryland, northern Delaware there, most of New Jersey, a lot of Long Island, New York City, that is, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then Massachusetts, all seeing a ton of snowfall by this point. And then by about 5 p.m. on Thursday here, we finally close out with some moderate snowfall to end the day on Thursday for a lot of southern New England, and then it's going to finally come to an end. What we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at what the GFS has to say, and then the Canadian model, and then we're finally going to get into all three of the exciting snowfall forecasts according to all three of these models. As far as the total amounts of snowfall. And I'm just going to let you know ahead of time, the amounts might shock you because it's looking like there could be a lot more snow than we even thought yesterday. So stay tuned for all of that. All right, now here we are taking a look finally at that GFS model. And as you can see, we're looking at about very early on Wednesday, maybe late on Tuesday actually. I would say maybe about 11 p.m. on Tuesday the 15th, which is just about 3 days from now. So this storm is getting closer each day. Our confidence is going to increase a lot. Again, if you want the more rapid updates, the Facebook group is a great place to be because every single model run, we have tons of people making posts about each model. So we're getting tons of discussions going there. It's actually the most active it's ever been right now. I'm very, very happy with the way that's playing out. We see a lot of snowfall going on for Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, possibly Arkansas as well. And then eventually, by about 2 p.m., we see the Ohio Valley getting a little bit of snowfall, just like the European model had. Virginia getting a lot of snowfall, just like the European model had. Also, West Virginia, Maryland, D.C. Again, the confidence is not very high yet. We're very confident in a strong storm hitting the East Coast. The location, the intensity, the amounts, the timing, those are all things in question at this point. We see that there is, by the time we're reaching about 11 p.m. on Wednesday, that heavier snowfall moves from DC, north of DC and Maryland, eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, New York City, Long Island. And this storm on this model is a lot more east-based. So again, that's something that can change from model to model. If you're anywhere in between DC and Boston, I would say you probably are liking the GFS a little bit more now. Look at that snowfall, those kind of magenta shades, very dark magenta shades, is like extremely heavy snowfall there that this is picking up on from New York City all the way through Connecticut and in through Boston as well. Let's take a look at that Canadian model quickly, and it looks pretty much the same, except it doesn't have a lot of snowfall out there for the Ohio Valley yet. That might change in the future. Same story as we move on. That was maybe about Wednesday afternoon. We could see by about 8 p.m. on Wednesday that heavy snowfall for northern Virginia, D.C., up through into Philadelphia, northern Delaware, and portions of New Jersey. And then same story by the time we're reaching about 2 a.m. on Thursday. We see from D.C. up through Philadelphia, New York City, and into Boston. We have heavy snowfall. And by the time we're reaching Thursday afternoon, you can see it ends with some moderate snowfall for southern New England, including Boston. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at the total snowfall according to all three of those models, which again is very, very shocking amounts actually. All right, now here we are taking a look at, first off, the European model. First off, we're taking a look at a zoomed out look because I want you to see how much the Ohio Valley could get. Generally, an inch to maybe 3 to 4 inches if you're in eastern or southern Ohio, it seems possible. But outside of that, maybe an inch to 3 inches, I would say, is possible for Illinois, Indiana, Ohio from this storm if we get that more western edge of it to develop, kind of like the European model had and the GFS model had. But again, the Canadian model does not have it. These are all the types of things we're going to pin down as time moves on. Probably by Monday, I will have my first snowfall forecast for this one, or perhaps Tuesday. So we're going to get a lot more confident as time moves on. Let's just zoom into the Northeast because I want you guys to be able to see this in HD. And as you can see, if you're anywhere in the grays, first off, you're at basically anything seeing flakes to about maybe an inch. If you're in the blues, you're at about 2 to 6 inches of snow. If you're in the purples, you're at about 6 to 10 inches of snow. If you're in the pinks, you're at about 10 to 20 inches of snow. If you're in those kind of lighter blue shades, very, very teal colored, you're at about 20 to maybe 30 inches of snow. And as you can see, as it turns purple there in Pennsylvania and then portions of northern New Jersey as well, that's where you're at 30 to 40 inches of snow there. So we're taking a look at a very major snowstorm according to the European model. Again, these amounts could change. I'm very confident in 12 to 24 inches of snow being possible. Those amounts that are above 24 inches, I think that is going to be something we're going to need to pin down later on, because that is obviously very major and very rare. So we're going to want to see if it's still showing that as the storm draws closer. I think a general 10 to 15 inches of snow is very likely for somewhere. Those higher amounts, we will wait and see. But this one has the bullseye for actually central into northeastern Pennsylvania, also northern New Jersey, southern New York there, and in through Connecticut. Let's just move on to our GFS model. And again, it's a little more east-based here. We still see those 20 inches plus throughout Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland. But then as we head towards northeastern Pennsylvania into northern New Jersey, also New York City, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, including Boston and New York City there, we're seeing 2 feet and above, so 24 inches or more for New York City, Providence, and Boston. This would obviously be a very major situation. Also a foot plus for DC, Philadelphia, and then also, of course, New York, Boston, and Providence. Since they're seeing 2 feet, they're obviously seeing 1 foot. The Canadian model. It's a little more far south, I would say. We can see that we have those highest amounts there. We have a bullseye of 24 to perhaps even... This one is saying a maximum of 44 inches of snow, which is very, very far-fetched. Again, we're going to want to wait and see if it's still showing these amounts. But it has the bullseye straight from DC to Philadelphia to New York City, almost to Boston. It doesn't really reach in. I think it would in a realistic scenario. But this one basically has the bullseye, mostly for the Mid-Atlantic, actually. Again, DC to New York, up through into Connecticut. Easily seeing over 2 feet of snow here, according to this model. So obviously, these models are calling for a very major blizzard. Like, I don't even want to downplay it. These models are calling for a massive blizzard on par with Nemo, Jonas, all of the big storms we've had in the past 20 years. This one is definitely up there with those if it was to play out exactly how these models are saying. What are the odds of it playing out exactly the way the models are saying? Extremely low. There is going to be some differences over the coming days. We're still 4 days away from the beginning of this storm and like 7 days away from the end of it. So we have a long way to go until we know for sure. So I want you guys to stay tuned. I want you guys to kind of take it with a grain of salt, but also be prepared that we could be dealing with a very major snowstorm for all of these regions, and just stay tuned overall. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, how confident are you in this storm occurring? And Zeta Derv said, I'm fairly confident it will happen and it will be a significant snowstorm. I feel exactly the same way. My confidence is over 80%, over probably around 90% that we will have a major snowstorm at least. So I definitely agree there. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our diamond patrons: Michael Cotalessa, Alicia Davis, Marcus Connolly, Catbite, Alan Sherry, Terry Curtis, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Bill Roberts, Kellen Manhart, Michael Buell, Charles Stinnett, Noah Harley, and Mark J, alongside our platinum patrons: Adam S., John Benbenick, Justin Quantrell, Donna Carnes, Alan Belemo, Larry Lepan, Sebastian Tao, Dovie Nagel, James Wade, and Cameron Marshall. If you would like to be on this Patreon end screen, you can do so by joining our Patreon in the description and the pinned comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to check out that Facebook group down below. You would absolutely love it. I know you will. It's been extremely active lately. Invite all your friends. It's just a party in there, a weather party 24/7. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.